All right, guys, so after a week where Lamar Jackson had more passing yards than Josh Allen, more rushing yards than Saquon Barkley in week 1, coming off a brutal last-second loss to the reigning Super Bowl champions, Baltimore will look to channel their frustration towards another AFC West opponent in the Las Vegas Raiders. The Baltimore Ravens have historically played well in home openers with a 20-8 record.
Our crowd, in front of our environment, knowing the fans get to experience us, in that stadium, and I believe we got some new additions going on in that stadium, so that'll be dope for the fans. But I'm looking forward to it, man, and I believe everyone wants to see us.
So we got Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh talking about Max Crosby, the challenge that he is, the front that the Raiders are going to impose on the Baltimore Ravens. We also had Travis Kelce with a pretty bold statement after the Ravens played Kansas City last week. We got news, updates, and more, and a nice preview for this Raiders game on Sunday. So welcome into another episode of Ravens Reports. It's your guy Noah here with For the Flock. Let's dive into the content. At number 1, the first thing I want to look at with this upcoming matchup, and the biggest concern I have for the Ravens, is going against Max Crosby and defensive tackle Christian Wilkins, who proved to be a very formidable duo, maybe one of the best defensive tackle and edge duos in the National Football League. Max Crosby, John Harbaugh called him a game wrecker. Lamar Jackson had some input on it as well. Here's what he had to say.
I'm over that guy. He's a great edge rusher, man. My hat's off to him. He was high motor. He was just going at it all game. I was like, this man here. I was laughing, Max. He was like trying to get after me, and I was like talking trash back. He was like, "But I love your game, Lamar," like stuff like that. But he's a great edge rusher, man. He's definitely a great edge rusher. Yeah, man.
He said that during the game.
Yeah. He said that during the game, and I was like laughing a little bit. Yeah.
We expect a very good football team. It's a very physical football team, hard-playing team, tough team, lots of speed. Dominant defensive front 4, front 7, aggressive. Yeah, he's a game record, no doubt about it. One of the best players in football. Very unpredictable player because of his high level of energy. I mean, he brings it every single play, plays almost every snap. He's upfield, he's underneath, he's in DA, he's back around the backside, he's spinning. He's knocking your hands off. He's running to the ball. He's just a game record to use that word. I think is exactly the right word. So we're gonna have to do everything we can. But you can't put 11 guys on one guy. You've got to handle all 11 of their guys as well. So we're going to have to do a great job with their whole defense. And definitely he's the guy you put the dot on and understand he's the top guy that you need to look out for.
However, last week against the Los Angeles Chargers, their defensive line did not perform quite as well against the run. In fact, they gave up 176 yards on the ground, and that was without a mobile quarterback that the Baltimore Ravens are going to challenge them with on their offense. J.K. Dobbins had himself an absolute monster day, over 120 rushing yards. So the Raiders' pass rush looked to be much more potent than their run defense in Week 1 against the Chargers. Before we get on to the keys to victory for both of these teams, I want to talk about some exciting matchups. And the first one's got to be the Baltimore Ravens tight ends versus the Raiders linebacker core. Okay, so the Ravens' top linebackers, Robert Spillane, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, Luke Masterson, and Amari Gaynor, guys that I think that the Ravens tight ends will have a lot of success against. I would not be surprised if between Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews, they combined for over 150 yards. In fact, that is my bold prediction of the game. And while Isaiah Likely was the featured tight end last week versus Kansas City, I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Andrews got in on the action and could be the featured tight end in this game. I think a lot of times it's going to be how teams decide to play them. Lamar Jackson just said today in his interview that Kansas City was double teaming Mark Andrews all game.
That was his first game, and he showed off. He showed out. He did what he was, what his job is to do. Step in. The first guy down, he stepped up, and that's pretty much what he was doing because they was doubling Mark all game. Like every time we played them, they got like a thing for 89. Like they don't want 89 to do anything, but 89 is doing his part, because he getting other guys open, and that's the biggest thing, and Likely took advantage of it.
And he said, in fact, every time we've played Kansas City, they have a thing for taking away Mark, taking away number 89, and the stats back that up. Mark Andrews was the most doubled he's ever been in this last game versus Kansas City out of the last 3 seasons of NFL action. Kansas City went to that extent to take away Lamar Jackson's safety blanket and Mark Andrews. That resulted in his counterpart Isaiah Likely going 9 catches, 111 yards, and a touchdown, almost 2. So I think the tight ends will feast on the linebackers. If they want to roll down the safeties to match up with them, then I think we hit them deep. Then they're opening themselves up for Zay Flowers and Bateman to win down the field. So check this out. Isaiah Likely has had 3 consecutive games with a touchdown reception of 25-plus yards dating back to last season. He has at least 1 catch of 25 yards in 6 straight games. Isaiah Likely is a consistent threat for a big play in every single game. He's a guy that defenses have to game plan for now. It's just simple as that. That's going to open stuff up for the other weapons the Ravens have. Derrick Henry, I could see him having a big day, especially with how soft the Raiders' run defense looked. And on the other side with Mark Andrews, 40 career receiving touchdowns. He only needs 1 more to tie tight end Todd Heap for the most in Ravens history. He's also recorded 9 games with multiple touchdown receptions and needs just 1 more to become the 4th tight end in NFL history with 10 such games in his first 7 seasons. He would join Rob Gronkowski, Jimmy Graham, and Antonio Gates. I'm just saying, don't sleep on Mark Andrews, how good he is, and what he can do if defenses let their guard down. Speaking of this offense, Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, here's another tight end, and Travis Kelce that just addressed how good the Baltimore Ravens offense can be, especially if they meet again in the postseason.
Lamar has got to be the hardest quarterback in the NFL to prepare for. He is, not only is their run game so good, but then you have to, account for him in the run game. Not only you got to account for Derrick Henry coming downhill with Ricard blocking for him. It's like you got to account for everybody in the backfield there, and then on top of that, he can throw it. He's a passer now. He is 100% a passer. I know he had the one in the end of the game where he sailed it over.
He missed that one, but I mean, he was
he missed that one
for most of the game,
and it just so happened to be in a big moment. But he's making that throw 9 times out of 10.
He followed that one up with the Likely catch, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So he was on the money there. It's just like
dialed it in. Yeah.
Anyways,
and when you're preparing for a guy like that, either you have a guy with similar talent, which is like getting the Walmart version of him. And there's nobody in the league that you could ever put back there from your team that is going to simulate how good Lamar is. So you just put a wide receiver whenever you're doing the read option stuff. You put him at quarterback and try and insinuate the speed that he has. But then on top of that, it's like you got to now figure out how you're going to stop him with his arm.
Right.
Isaiah Likely had an amazing game. Happy for him. Tight end you guy.
Yeah.
And it's just so hard that Baltimore offense, man. Once they get rolling, which I'm sure they will these next couple of weeks, man, that team's going to be really, really good going into the playoffs.
So next up, we got our keys to victory. Let's start on the defensive side of the football. I think it's pretty simple here. The Raiders are going to want to run the football. They're going to want to shorten the game against a potent Ravens offense. Justin Madubuike said today, we got to stop the run. That's going to be priority number 1. But let's not forget, let's not pretend like the Raiders don't also have some weapons in their passing game. We're talking about Devontae Adams, one of the best receivers in the game. Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, a nice formidable tight end duo there. Jacoby Myers is a solid playmaker as a number 2 next to Devontae Adams. So it's not like they don't have some weapons, some pass catchers, but I think they're going to really want to establish a run game, hit some play action shots, and push the ball downfield. So I think it comes down to stopping the run and stopping the deep shots. The other thing is the Raiders' offensive line allowed 4 sacks last game against the Chargers. I expect Baltimore to get at least 4 of their own and get after Gardner Minshew in the pass rush department. Guys like Madubuike, Owe, Ajabo, Travis Jones, who had a dominant game versus Kansas City, by the way. These guys are going to get after Gardner Minshew, and I think they're going to get at least 4 sacks. That's going to be one of my keys to victory on the defensive side of the ball. Let's switch over to the offensive side of the football. Keys to victory for the Ravens offense, all right? So check this out. Lamar Jackson, he has a 58-20 record. He needs to win his next 2 starts to become the 5th quarterback in NFL history to reach 60 wins within the first 80 starts of his career. So in the next 2 games, if he wins both matchups, he'll join Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Ken Stabler, and Roger Staubach in some elite quarterback company. My biggest key on offense here, it's simple, man. Don't turn the ball over, because I honestly feel, this is what I feel. Maybe I'm being a little bit of a homer here, but I think this should be a runaway win, borderline blowout. The Raiders are traveling from the West Coast as a West Coast team all the way to the East Coast for an early 1 p.m. game after Baltimore just had 3 days of extra rest and frustration from a Week 1 loss against the Chiefs. They have extra rest, extra time for game planning. But turnovers are a quick and easy way to keep, the Raiders in the game. However, you can easily see a game where the Raiders are in there, for a chance at victory. That would be a case where they get the run game going. They hit a couple shots downfield. They get a few takeaways. And just like that, they can beat Baltimore at home in their home opener. But if the Ravens keep turnovers and simple mistakes to a minimum, I really do think they are the better football team. I think they're better coached. I think they obviously have a much better quarterback. I also think the Ravens defense is better than the Raiders, as well as the offense, clearly. And I think there's no way that the Ravens should be losing this home opener. However, there's definitely paths to victory for the Raiders. On the injury front, it looks like the Baltimore Ravens are heading into this game relatively healthy. They also got Adisa Isaac back out on a separate field working, as well as cornerback Arthur Millette. So the Ravens are getting healthier. They're stronger. They came out of Kansas City, healthy, ready to go, besides outside linebacker Kyle Van Noy, who's dealing with that orbital bone fracture. That's going to mean more snaps for both David Ojabo and Odafe Owe, possibly Malik Harrison as the outside linebacker there. I'm fired up for this game, the home opener against the Raiders. Very confident and excited that the Ravens are going to get the job done here at home. My score prediction is Baltimore Ravens 28 to the Raiders 14 with a nice comfortable win. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments section below. Let me know your score predictions as well. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's content. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.
Ray, when he wasn't looking, he ran me over.